Section 2.4 in Algebra 2, we start to write equations for linear lines. This is something you have done before in Algebra 1, but it's been a while, and we do a little bit more with it than you did in Algebra 1. So just reviewing of concepts or topics, y equals mx plus b is slope-intercept form, because if you have the slope and you have the y-intercept, you can calculate it pretty easily. And then point-slope form is a little bit longer. We call that point-slope form because if you have a point and you have the slope, this one's easier. So in these, m is the slope. All right. X1, Y1 is a point. Sometimes they may give you a point, just so you know, X1, Y1 is the point they give you. All right. So we only need one point and the slope. If we know that, we can write a line. And then obviously up here, this is something we should remember, but m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. Okay, so you have slope and y-intercept, and down here we have a point and the slope. Okay, so in the example, write an equation of the line that had the given slope and y-intercept. So what you would do is you would take y equals mx plus b, and what we're going to do is we're going to substitute in for m and for b. So if m is -4, it would be -4x, and if b is -7, it'd be plus -7. So we would get y equals -4x plus -7. So if they give us the slope and the y-intercept, it's really that simple. You just plug them in. But most times, it's not that simple. So in the next section, they give us write the equation of the line that passes through the given point and has the given slope. So in the next section, they give us the point and the slope. So we're going to use point-slope formula. Let me zoom in a little bit. So we start with point-slope formula, which is the y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Okay. And just so we're aware, in the point, we have x1, y1, and then they give us m. So we're going to plug these in. So it ended up being y minus, let me change colors for this, y minus 6 equals 3 times x minus -2. So notice I put red where I plugged those numbers in. I plugged in y1, I plugged in x1, I plugged in m. Okay, and you'll notice that everything else stayed the same. Everything else is exactly the same. So now we have, to get y by itself, we're going to put this in slope-intercept form. So if we do that, first, this minus negative, change colors again, minus -2 is really plus +2. Okay? So we can distribute, and we would get 3x plus 6. So it's y minus 6 equals 3x plus 6. Because we did 3 times x and then 3 times 2. And then get y alone, you would add 6 to both sides. And we have y equals 3x plus 12. So we wrote the equation of the line that passes through the given point and has a given slope. And this is it. Just so you're aware, you don't have to put it in slope-intercept form. I'd prefer that, but if you do this, that's actually okay as well. I will always put it in slope-intercept form just because that's generally where we want it to be. We want to get y by itself. But either way will work. So then number 2, same thing. Start with your point-slope equation. Okay. And now we're going to plug in our x1, our y1, and the m. So it's y minus y1 is 2 equals m is negative 2/3, and then it's x minus, and x1 is 5. So in the blue, I plugged the numbers in. I'm just doing it to make it stand out for you. So this is an equation for the line, but like I said, I'd like to get this so it's in slope intercept form, so we get y by itself. So y minus 2 equals negative 2/3 x, and then negative 2/3 times 5 is going to be, a negative 5 is positive 10/3. Okay. And then we're going to add 2. And you'll get y equals negative 2/3 x. Okay, and now I'm going to change colors over here. If we do 10/3, slide over. 10/3 plus 2/1. If we do that, you could get your calculator out, and that would obviously work for you, and you get a decimal. Or you could change this to 10/3 plus, if you do times 3, you would get 6/3. So this would be 16/3. So we end up getting y equals negative 2/3 x plus 16/3. And if you wanted to, just take your calculator and do 10 divided by 3 plus 2. Okay, you'd end up getting 5.33. Okay, and I'm okay if you do decimals. That's fine with me. All right, so we scroll down to the next example. It says to write an equation of a line that passes through this point. So if it passes through, that means it's x1 and y1, and it is parallel to this equation here. So what does parallel mean? Parallel means same slope. So it has the same slope as this equation. What is the slope of this equation? If it's y equals negative 4x. So the slope for this one is m equals negative 4. Okay, so we got our slope. We have our x1 and we have our y1. So we're going to use point slope form again, because they give us a point and they give us a slope. All right, so our slope is negative 4, and we have x1, y1. So we're going to take our equation, our point slope equation, because they give us a point and the slope. So y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And this equation is one that you should get used to using, because it is much easier than trying to plug into our y equals mx plus b. So we would get y minus 5 equals negative 4 times x minus negative 3. And then we would solve for y. One thing I'm going to point out is that if it's minus and negative, it becomes plus a positive. So distribute, you would get negative 4x minus 12. So y minus 5 equals negative 4x minus 12. And then you would add 5 to get y equals negative 4x minus 7. And that will be your equation. So you'll see some that say it's parallel to or perpendicular to. Parallel means same slope. All right, and then some of these will get write an equation of a line that passes through the given points, and well, let's give us 2 points. So we actually have to find the slope and then write the equation for the line. So we'll have to start by finding the slope, x1, y1, and now we have x2, y2 because there's 2 points. So find the slope. So slope, or m, equals 2 minus negative 8 divided by 8 minus 3. 2 minus negative 8 is 10. 8 minus 3 is 5. So the slope is 2. Once you find the slope, you just take your slope and one of these points. I'm going to take the second point. You could take either point and it's going to work out. So now we write the equation. Right. I just realized I accidentally hit the stop button on the recording, so I don't know where I left off, but I'm just going to go back up here and just quick re-explain this problem. So you found the slope, we have the point, and we plug it in to get y equals negative 4x minus 7. Okay, and then the next part, we had to find the slope. So the slope is 2, because we did x1, y1, x2, y2. And we plugged in our slope equation. And don't forget the slope equation is y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. Once we have our slope and we can pick a point, I'm going to pick the second point. You can pick either one. Either one will work. We would get y minus y1, so it would be y minus 2 equals the slope, which is 2 times x minus x1, so x minus 8. Again, you can plug this in or you can plug this point in. I chose the second point, so I put 2 and 8. Okay, and then when you solve this, you would get 2x minus 16, so it'll be y minus 2 equals 2x minus 16, and then you add 2. Y equals 2x minus 14. Okay, and I'm just going to show over in the left that you would actually get the same thing. I'm just going to pick a different color. So I'm going to actually plug in this point now. So if I use that point, it will be y minus negative 8 equals 2 times x minus 3. Okay, because I plugged in the 3 and the negative 8. So if I were to distribute, it'd be 2x minus 6. And this would be y plus 8, because the plus would become, or the minus and negative become plus positive. And then you minus 8 to get y equals 2x minus 14. So it doesn't matter which point you pick when you plug it in. You pick either point, plug it in, you'll get y equals 2x minus 14. Okay, and let's do one more. So again, we have x1, y1, x2, y2. So we have 2 points, but we do not know what the slope is. So we got to find the slope. Find m. So it'd be 3 minus negative 2 divided by 4 minus 4. So we would get 5 over 0. If it's 5 over 0, what do you get when you divide by 0? If we divide by 0, we would get undefined. So undefined, if you recall, hoi vux. Vux means it's a vertical line. Vertical line, it's undefined, and it's x equals. So if it's undefined, we go in here. Do you notice that the x's are actually the same number? When that happens, your equation is just going to be x equals whatever number it is. So it's x equals 4. Okay? So again, if it's undefined, it's vux. It's going to be an x equals, and it's going to be x equals 4.